Well, Uncle Doug.
Hello.
Do you remember that thing you did in 8th grade? And we don't have to be super specific. You know what you did.
You promised we would never talk about this again.
Well, we're talking about it. And
Statute
you know why we're talking about
is
it?
long gone.
Why, you know why we're talking about it? Is because you were warned at the time that it would go down on your permanent record. And it has, hasn't it?
Oh.
And when you die, you're going to sit there and watch the film of your life with Jesus. And that is your real permanent record.
Do we have to watch all of the masturbation?
Yeah.
In full time? Can we just kind of...
I feel like maybe everybody gets to watch everybody's masturbation.
That's called Pornhub.
Yeah. And in heaven, of course, it's 4D. So just be ready for some liquid.
You can smell it?
Yeah. It's pretty visceral.
Okay.
So, Dan, what do you want to talk about your permanent record?
Here's what I want to talk about. Yes, I do want to talk about that. But I want to talk about it not in sort of a Jesus sense, although we will get to a little bit of God that feels super out of place here. But I want to talk about it in a woo sense. Because here's the thing. We've been poking around the edges of woo for a long time now.
Yeah.
Almost 150 podcast episodes in, and we've talked about so many modalities of bullshit, the head swims to think of it.
It does.
Psychics, astrology, crystals, homeopathy, Reiki, tuning forks, the law of attraction, pyramids, fucking Gwyneth Paltrow's vaginal egg goop. Those are her words, not mine.
Yep.
There's so much nonsense, and we've really only scratched the surface. And yet, if you find someone who believes in some of it, you've likely found someone who believes in most or all of it.
Mm-hmm.
And how is that possible? How can all of these concepts coexist? Well, fellas, I think I finally found it. The unified field theory of how all woo can be true at the same time.
Oprah.
She's part of it.
Of course she is.
And what fuels all of its amazingness, and this theory encompasses all of it. And it's appropriate that I would use a physics term to introduce this concept, because this is totally science. Allow me to quote from a prominent proponent of this theory. Quote, "There's a field beyond space and time from which everything emerges. It's the pre-created field from where the universe comes. It is eternal, beyond space-time, infinite, giving rise to space and time. It is the field of possibilities from where not only this universe, but possibly infinite universes emerge. And this is a domain of potential energy, information, space-time, and the world of material objects." Does it sound like the quote went off the rails a bit at the end there? A little word salady?
I hate to say that the quote went off the rails at the very beginning.
Okay, well, if you don't understand, don't worry. You're just too stupid to get the really deep shit.
Yeah, if you put all of physics into a little bowl and shook it up and then pulled out 4 things, that's what that sounded like.
Right. Well, just trust. The quote continues. Here we go. "It is my feeling that people who have intuition, insight, the so-called paranormal abilities, precognition, remembrance of other lifetimes, remote viewing, extrasensory perception, remote healing, these people have dormant, non-local potentials that exist in every human being." Anybody want to guess what deepity-spouting genius may have come up with those sentences?
Oh, there's so many to choose from.
I'll give you a hint. I excluded a part where this person talked about quantum physics.
So I guess this is Starfucker extraordinaire Deepak Chopra.
It's got to be
Deepak Chopra. You got it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. This was Deepak Chopra discussing the Akashic field.
Oh.
And if it has the Chopra seal of approval, you know it's good.
Yeah.
So, what is the Akashic field? In that same Chopra video, he repeated a claim I saw a lot, that the Akashic field is an ancient concept that shamans and mystics all over the world have accessed and talked about. The word is from the Sanskrit, meaning ether or sky, unless you ask people who believe in it, in which case they say it's from a Sanskrit word meaning something else entirely, but they're wrong. It might mean, quote, something that white women will pay too much money to hear about. With a concept that ethereal and ancient, it would be amazing if we could trace the idea all the way back to its source. But we can. The notion of the Akashic field goes all the way back to that ancient Indian guru, Helena Blavatsky.
Oh, Helena Blavatsky.
Our old friend, the 19th century Russian lady, founder of Theosophy. That's right. The appeal to the antiquity all the way back to the late 19th century.
To the founder of esoteric fascism.
That's right.
Yes.
And here's the thing. Blavatsky didn't even use the term Akashic field or the now more common Akashic Record. She used the term Akasha, which she meant as some sort of wishy-washy life force concept. The concept of an Akashic Record came from an English theosophist named Alfred Percy Sinnett and his 1833 book, Esoteric Buddhism, in which he cites another book, Henry Steele Olcott's 1881 classic, A Buddhist Catechism, in which Olcott wrote, quote, Buddha taught the two things that are eternal, namely Akasa, which is the same word as Akasha, and Nirvana. Everything has come out of Akasa in obedience to the law of motion inherent in it and passes away. Nothing ever comes out of nothing. Early Buddhism, then, clearly held to a permanency of records in the Akasa and the potential capacity of man to read the same when he was evoluted to the stage of true individual enlightenment. And there you have it.
There's a lot of dumb going on in one place right there.
Yep. In just a few derpy sentences, one white guy has given another white guy enough nonsense about an ancient Asian religion to set other bored minds reeling. It's the derp that launched 1,000 Karens. Incidentally, I couldn't find another source any other sources to confirm that this actually is anything that the Buddha would have taught. I did a very small amount of research on that. So
right.
I don't think that that's actually something that.
Well,
that the
what sucks is he's unavailable for comment. So
it does. Yeah,
we really struggle with any segment that includes him.
Yeah, it's tricky. But let's talk about the Akashic Record. What is it? Where is it? When is it? How can I never hear about it again? Well, these are all good questions. Let's go to the man who really worked to get this notion rolling in the U.S., famous mid-20th century psychic ding-dong, Edgar Cayce, who I'm sure we'll get around to covering at some point on the show.
Yeah, he's the sleeping psychic, isn't that his
That's
nickname?
right, the sleeping prophet.
The sleeping prophet, yes.
So here's what he had to say. The Akashic Records, or the Book of Life, can be equated to the universe's supercomputer system. It is this system that acts as the central storehouse of all information for every individual who has ever lived upon the earth. More than just a reservoir of events, the Akashic Record contains every deed, word, feeling, thought, and intent that has ever occurred at any time in the history of the world.
Okay,
It is a permanent record.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Is it searchable? How do you navigate this thing?
We'll get to it.
How do you do it? Control,
Yeah, exactly. You have to.
control,
Yeah.
and then you hit Omega.
Well, you have to log in. You enter your username and password.
Yeah. Hold on, I'm getting my Sanskrit keyboard out.
Yeah, do that. While you're doing that, I will say that what he's saying is true. Everything that has ever happened is written in this Book of Life, but the idea has grown since then. It's not just records of everything that has ever happened. If you learn to go to this universe-creating plane of existence, you can also read everything that will ever happen.
Oh.
It's a realm where everything is known, and you, yes, you, can visit there. Hooray! Want to know about your past lives? Go to the Akasha. Want wisdom from the ancients? It's all there. Want guidance on what your next career move should be? Yes, the Akashic Records are open for your perusal. Want to know who will win the next 5 Super Bowls? Well, don't be stupid. It doesn't work that way. And you're kind of a jerk for asking.
So this is kind of Buddhist. That's a new thing.
It is.
Hey, I like that.
100% that.
Buddhist woo predestination. How charming.
Kind of.
So life
sort
is
of.
pointless because you have no free agency or autonomy.
Well, it depends on who you ask, because I did read several people who were talking about how it can tell you your future if you stay on the same destiny path. So,
Well, I can tell you your future if you do everything that I say.
right.
It's
Or I can tell you your future, and if it doesn't come true, it's because you changed destiny paths.
Right.
Yeah, I think we'll find that there are some maybe hidden outs that practitioners of these can use to explain away any failures that they might have
this
had.
is an idea so flexible it can be braided.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, like I said, you can't ask about the next Super Bowls, but why not? If all the occurrences of all time are in there, why can't I get information on whether I should hit or fold? Or when to call my broker to create a financial instrument to short collateralized debt obligations? Well, these records have keepers, and they don't give out that kind of information.
Okay.
Oh, yes. There are cosmic librarians, gatekeepers to all of this information who decide what you do and do not need to know. These are universally acknowledged to be benevolent, kind entities who will only ever give you positive, affirming messages. If you ever feel a darkness or a fear or a concern when you're accessing your records, well, you're fucking doing it wrong, and you have to start over. Only nice things happen in the real Akashic field.
Of course.
And only nice things will happen in the future, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
totally.
All right.
When do we get there?
Yeah, right? So, what kind of nice things, you may ask? Well, maybe you'll see something about a past life of yours. Maybe you were a famous person. Wouldn't that make you feel special? You were Cleopatra or an Aztec warrior or something?
I have never heard anyone who believes in reincarnation find out that they were a fucking plowman.
Right.
Exactly.
That they were a guy whose job it was to scrape shit off of rocks for 30 miserable years. Nope, I was a queen.
Every single one of your past lives was a peasant. Enjoy.
Yeah.
No, you don't get that. But listen, maybe you'll get a sense that what you should do with a big decision. You should get a sense about what you should do with a big decision in your life. But it won't be as simple as, yes, you should definitely take that job and move your family to Texas. No, it'll be something subtle, like an image. Maybe you see a cowboy hat. That might mean move to Texas, right? Or maybe you associate cowboy hats with backwards thinking rednecks, and it means you shouldn't move to Texas. Well, which one is it? Well, that's for you to figure out. With that kind of usefulness, I'm sure you're asking yourself, gee, Uncle Dan, how can I access this amazing resource? Well, there are several ways. As one middle-aged white lady in a super funky turquoise-colored glasses on YouTube pointed out, you can access the Akashic Record a number of ways. Shamanic practices, sacred prayer traditions, breath work. Just, get real wooey, and it'll probably happen.
Yeah. Try the scattershot approach is always the best.
Yeah, exactly. Wouldn't hurt to smudge. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe. Most of the websites I've visited offer a prayer similar to this one, which I promise you I did not make up. Quote, "And so we do acknowledge the forces of light, asking for guidance, direction, and courage to know the truth, as it is revealed for our highest good and the highest good of everyone connected to us." And by the way, I do want to point out, this prayer started with the word "and." Cool. "O Holy Spirit of God, protect me from all forms of self-centeredness and direct my attention to the work at hand. Help me to know," and then in parentheses, either myself or the first name of the individual being read, "in the light of the Akashic Records, to see myself through the eyes of the Lords of the Records, and to enable me to share the wisdom and compassion that the masters, teachers, and loved ones of me have for me. The records are now open."
Boy, I'll tell you what. I'll give you any record you want if you just shut the fuck up.
Oh my God! I annoyed myself in that, and it wasn't even mine. I didn't write that part.
I will tell you who scores the most baskets in the 27-43 Indianapolis 500. if you just stop,
Please don't,
because the records are open.
The records are open. As a quick aside, I wanted to point out that several of the sites that I saw mentioned that you should include your, quote, full legal name in the prayer. So that the cosmic librarians open up the right records for you. Because apparently,
what if you're married?
They're real sticklers about the paperwork.
What if you're a married woman who took your husband's name? Is it the
Yeah,
maiden
you got to
name,
use
or is
the...
it
No, it's the legal name.
Okay, so whatever the last thing the court stamped.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Gotcha.
And also, speaking of that, they say that you should repeat the prayer 3 times, which I guess is the spectral equivalent to filling out a form in triplicate.
Boy, I did not think this could get any more stupid, and I was wrong.
Well, okay, so once you've said your prayer or chanted your chant or listened to your guided Akashic meditation, you're ready to ask your question, whatever that is. And so just, make yourself open to whatever answer comes. It's as simple as that.
Sure.
Unless you don't like the answer you're given, or somehow the Akashic Record you're reading, or the Akashic Record reading that you're receiving doesn't actually gel with your lived experience, then you need to remember that the Akashic plane is so vast that it encompasses every piece of information in every universe.
Sure.
Maybe you're just getting information that doesn't make sense to you yet. You just need to wait and keep it in your back pocket until you encounter an event where that information would apply.
Or maybe it's information for a much better version of you
Right.
in another universe. Therefore, it's none of your fucking business because you're a loser.
Or maybe
Yeah.
there's more than one John Tuttle, and you're getting all the wrong information.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're getting
exactly.
Buttle's information.
That's right.
Yeah. Or maybe you're doing it wrong, you dick. So there you go. I was first made aware of the Akashic Records a couple of weeks ago when one of my wooiest Facebook friends, a woman who makes her money as a quote-unquote life coach, wrote a post asking people if they believed that they could access theirs. I, being new to the concept, Googled it and instantly had a question that I'm sure many of our listeners are having. I asked her, if I wanted to attempt to access it, how would I know that it's anything greater than a trick of my own imagination? Her response, which included putting a space before but not always after every punctuation mark for some reason, was this. Quote, I've been accessing the Akashic Records for 8 years, mine and others, and my egoic mind still wants to tell me that it's a trick of my imagination sometimes. So, it's a valid question. What I would say is that there's intuitive information that comes in that feels different. And knowing that couldn't possibly come from my brain, as I've never learned about those things. For example, I will access past lives of people and be able to see aspects, style of clothing, musical instruments, tools, landscape, etc., that I have never seen before, and I have to look it up and research it to know what my intuition is seeing.
If you don't know what it is, how do you look it up?
Shut up.
Well, and I love how too, like, what her egotistical brain. What was it she said?
Her egoic mind.
Her egoic mind has been so basically her subconscious is trying to tell her this is all bullshit and you should stop wasting your time.
Right. Something inside of her brain is going, I'm making this up, aren't I? Shit, I'm just making this up. But she shushes that away and goes on with herself. I got to say, the last bit of what she said is somewhat compelling. Like, if she could see something that she had no idea existed, then go look it up, and lo and behold, it was a real thing back in the Middle Ages or whatever, that'd be pretty convincing.
But
The problem
isn't this the same universe of Wu that says that the Native Americans didn't know they couldn't see the ships of Columbus because they had heretofore never seen them?
Maybe.
This is for real. I had a dream last night that for some reason I had joined the Navy. And I was going through this very strange basic training, which had me walking into rooms and showing some supervisor a couple 20-sided dice. And he's like, oh, yeah, you go over there and do this, like, pugilist, this thing. Now, your head is just full of fucking information and scraps and bits of shit that you've picked up for your entire life.
Yeah.
So, maybe in some movie you saw a farm implement used by some ancient person and you never thought about it again until you went into some kind of fucking woo state.
That's
and there
right.
it was. Like, all this stuff in my dream last night is shit I've seen all over the world randomly jammed back together in some bizarre, pastiche.
Our tricksy little brains can fool us into thinking a lot of things.
Yeah.
I think that's a perfectly reasonable scenario that she saw some things in movies and then her imagination recreated it.
Yeah.
Or maybe she imagined something she didn't really recognize and then went looking for it and found something similar that wasn't really the same thing, but, close enough. Or maybe she felt something from the records and then that something solidified later as the thing she happened to be looking at in her Ren Fair Quarterly magazine or whatever.
Yes.
Who knows?
Or it could be that there's a giant book with everything in it that ever happened, ever, guarded by people who won't tell you most of it, and I could go on.
Yeah.
But I think that's more likely.
I mean, that's the obvious choice for truth in this scenario.
Oh, boy.
Anyway, the point is that, like so much woo, there's no way to conclusively prove that it isn't real, so I can believe it if I want to. Why do you always have to try and ruin nice things for people? You're an asshole.
Yeah. And I think the moral of this story is everybody in my dream last night kept saying, aren't you too old for this? You can't join at this age. And I was like, I know. I don't know what I'm doing here. So, you know what I mean? I
can't believe they didn't keep asking you if you were here for the semen.
Oh, hey-o. In the Navy.
Yeah. So,
Well, I think that the point of this whole segment is that if there's anything to this Akashic record, it means you have to join the Navy.
that's right. That's what the universe was telling me.
That's right.
Is it's time at age 51, it's time to serve my country.
Set sail.
Ahoy!
And let's move on.
Let's do it.